In the previous episode, we have talked about how actually death happens in human body in scientific manners. Okay, so we have talked so many vast topics about which are just roaming around deaths, and we have tried to provide information about them. In this episode, we will be providing you same informations, but in terms of Vedas, in terms of ancient text of Hindu Shastras and all. So this episode is going to be a little bit religious, I will say, and please take it as opinions of different communities, different religion. So this is the perspective of, or this is the kind of, I will say, information of Hindu religion. I think it's wrong to say even Hindu religion, because our Vedas are so old and very ancient that there are lots of other religion too which just accepts them. Like if you see Buddhism, if you see Jainism, they also accept some part of Vedas in terms of spirituality and all these things. So let's continue our podcast today about this death and all things. When it comes to the mysteries of our universe and human life, the biggest mystery that many are curious but also clueless about it is the death. It's very vast topic, but people often just don't know about this particular thing. I think they don't try to examine death, or even they just don't try to research about this particular topic. Religions have called death the only truth and afterlife as a gift or curse that we get depending on our conduct on this planet, which is true. What you give, you will get in the end. So this is how it just becomes truth in real life. According to the Vedas, a collection of reserved Hindu text, all beings are souls and thus spiritual in nature. Now you might get questioned that soul is spirit, right? No, souls and spirits are different. How they are different, you will get to know in upcoming some minutes. Okay, so keep listening to the podcast till the end with all your attention. Though the body is temporary and eventually it just dies, the soul is eternal, as we know. After death, the soul is reincarnated, taking birth in another physical body or form, you will say. Some seekers of the Vedic knowledge have inquired during various prayers meeting, what do the Vedas say about deaths of the human body? So the human body is mentioned in Vedas as Trianipada, 3 bodies in one, which means, and these 3 bodies are divine, spiritual and gross. So first of all, let's talk about the divine body, which is known as Atma or soul. The omniscient principle resides in divine body. In spiritual body, in spirit, in Jiv, the energy principle resides. And also there is this gross body, which is known as physical body. I told you about in previous episode. So the gross body is actually our physical body, which just changes by our kind of birth. So we take when you take rebirth, your body will change, but your soul will not change, as you know. What happens at the time of death of the gross body? Do you know? Here is the Vedic description. At the time of death of the gross body, cells merge with the earth, spirit or Jiv merge with the divine nature or Prakriti, we know. The human soul, being immortal, remains alive, and hence consciousness remains here on earth. Based on degree of truth, quality of karma, good or bad deeds, as you know, acquired in the present and previous births as individuals running ledger account, it gets manifested again on the birth of another gross body. So this is how they explain this whole birthing process in Vedas. This process of birth and rebirth continues until the soul achieves perfection, and this perfection is released from the 3 modes of Prakriti, and moves beyond three gunas of transparency, activity and passivity. It is the stage of salvation, liberation or Vedic moksha. So now you know what exactly moksha is. According to Vedas, there are total two paths which can be taken by soul after death. The first path is known as the path of ancestors, where the deceased travel to heaven occupied by ancestors and they will ultimately reborn. So this is the concept of, I will say, kind of hell. And there is another path which is known as path of gods, where the deceased enters a realm at the sun and never returns. This latter is the equivalent of reaching nirvana and escaping reincarnation. There is also a reference to a hell-like pit where sinners are punished. That is very most fundamental question, yet people can ignore it, avoid it and just live on in their ignorance, simply because all kinds of idiotic stories have been spread in the world in the name of religion. So this is the main things which you might want to know. So now let's talk about the most fundamental questions about particular this death. So do you know you will die one day? I mean, very basic questions, right? Where I'm saying you very harsh truth and you know it. Okay, sorry, I bless you with a long life, but anyway, you will die one day. We cannot be sure about other things in your life. We don't know if you will ever get married or not, or if you ever get a good job or not, if you will be successful or not. But one thing is guaranteed in your life, that you will go straight to your grave. So please don't tell me that I am being rude, but it's the truth, it's the fact. One of the biggest human follies is to engage with death in the third person, as though it is an abstract event that happens to other people, not us. Do you know that about 1,60,000 people in the world who were alive yesterday are not there today? Each second, total 2 people dies in the world. So this is very strong truth and strong fact. One day it is going to happen to you and me too. So in those 2 seconds, you know that 2 people will die. One of them is me or one of them is you. It does not take enormous research or intelligence or even education to know this. This knowledge is inbuilt in every human being, as you know. Everything have an unlimited lease of life. This situation is best expressed in the Indian epic Mahabharata. So let's talk about it. The 5 Pandava princes, who are the protagonists, are lost in the forest. Severely starved and parched, they scour the nearby hills for water and food. They spot a lake, and as they try to drink from it, they are confronted by a Yaksh, a celestial being, in the form of a white crane, who insists they answer his question first. Refusing to be stopped by mere bird, one by one they try to drink from the lake and drop dead. Only Yudhishthira, the eldest of them, is left. Always the humble and right one, Yudhishthira ignores his thirst and engages with Yaksh, who fires a volley of questions about life at him. One of those questions was, what is the biggest wonder of life? And without hesitation, Yudhishthira famously answers that hundreds and thousands of living beings meet death at every moment, yet the foolish man thinks himself deathless and does not prepare for death. This is the biggest wonder of life. The Yaksh is pleased with this particular answer, so he allows him to drink from the lake and also restores the lives of dead brothers of him. This happened 5,000 years ago, but the human psychology regarding death has changed very little since then. So by the way, if you don't know that why this happened 5,000 years ago, then you might have not listened to our podcast about this particular thing, Ramayana and Mahabharata. So you might want to check out that first. So you can listen to our episode number 9 and 10, and you will get to know all about this Mahabharata and Ramayana text from ancient India. okay, let's talk about much more facts about life, and I will say the life after death particularly. So this topic is very interesting because we are going to talk about the ghost and souls and all these things, which is very popular and kind of very interesting to know about it. Also, I am also very interested to discuss about this particular thing. When someone dies, we say that this person is no more. That is not true. The person is no more the way you know them, but they still very much exist. The physical body will fall apart, but the mental and pranic body go on, depending upon the strength of karma. To find another worm, the intensity of karmic structure should come down, it should become passive. If the karmic structure has become weak because it has run its course, then it finds another body very easily. When one completes his allotted karma for this life, he will die just like that, without any disease, accident or injury. That person may find another body within hours. If one completes his life and dies peacefully, he needs not hang around. It just goes immediately and will find another body. However, if the karmic structure is very intense, unfinished, then it has to finish it. Now he or she needs much more time to find another body. This is what you are referring to as a ghost. They are more available to your experiences because they have more intense karmic structures. There are innumerable such things or such beings all around you, whether you know it or not, but you will not feel most of them because their karma is dissipated. They are just waiting for more dissipation before they find another body. So this was just simple talk about life after death. So this was the episode of knowing death with the religion of Hinduism, or I will say the ancient Vedas or ancient Indian text, because Hinduism is very subjective topic. Vedas are referred to as ancient Indian text, and from these Vedas there are multiple religions like Buddhism and Jainism and Hinduism. So this podcast is not just based on particular one religion, but it's based on ancient Indian texts, and also our society thinking or our society's perspectives on this particular thing. So this was the episode of death, and I hope you loved it. If you have not listened to our previous episode, then you might want to listen it because it will complete your knowledge. So that is it for today, and I will see you in next podcast. Thank you.